Making it to me means being happy in your skin and happy doing what you get to do every day when you get up. Getting up with purpose, getting up feeling like I get to help somebody today. I get to bless somebody today. I get to be a blessing in some way today. It's not necessarily financial, though it doesn't hurt. I'll say that. But it's really about living life on purpose and feeling like you add something to the world.
Will Wheaton, welcome to Making It.
Very cool. Good to see you, Jared.
It's great to see you always, Will. It truly is. I mean, I never, as long as I've known you, have not had at least one laugh and a great time.
We're going to laugh
or otherwise.
No matter what's going on. We're going to laugh no matter what's going on. If we ain't laughing, we ain't living. That's what I know.
That's right. Yes, sir. Well, today we're going to be talking about real estate, music, family, and so much more. But those are kind of those three words, I think, 4 words, describe you really quite well. I want to, I want to start off with a couple of quotes.
Sure.
And the first one is from David Foster. And this is to give context for our conversation of you musically and also just who you are as a person. David Foster says about you, if there's anybody who loves being brought to their knees by music in a passionate way with a great voice, you better get a Will Wheaton because you won't be disappointed.
That would be David.
That
was actually a really, 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 really cool quote. I was very, very proud of that because he is the man that knows singers. So
and he doesn't hand out compliments.
He does not.
Period. Right.
Believe me, he does not.
Another quote is from Dick Clark, who you have the pleasure of also working with. You know what every singer strives for is that trademark sound. That minute you hear the voice, you know it. Aretha Franklin has it. Merle Haggard has it. Johnny Cash has it. Ray Charles has it. Barry White has it. Will Wheaton has that trademark too.
A truly great man who taught me a whole lot about the necessity for likability. He said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, you can be the greatest talent in the world. If people don't like you, you won't go far. And I can pretty well look at a couple people that I know that are not so likable. and they're extremely talented.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. It's the truth. So I've always carried that with me because, you know, it's important to be somebody that people enjoy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's also really, I think it's profound that of the many words of wisdom that Dick Clark could have given you, this was not about music. It was about life.
Exactly. It was about life. And I felt like, wow, okay, I should pay attention to this because he could be talking to me about anything, but he was like, no, let me give you a real life lesson. Let me tell you what's really important. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Logged in the journal. This is what we will use as the mantra going forward. We will be, but I'm typically not, in my opinion, I'm not somebody that people don't like, but I've just seen what that does and or what it is manifested for some people that are maybe quote unquote unlikable. It's like, okay, I get it. There's a real life living example. Okay, got it. So
I'm always astounded to the contrary when there are people who are not likable, when they are just selfish, arrogant, step to the front of the liners, push you out of the way.
Yep.
How they are successful. I mean, they have talent, but that baffles me.
Yeah, it's baffling. But the interesting thing about it is if you really pay attention, almost in every instance, there's something that isn't quite happening the way it could and or should because of their lack of likability. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
But, to each his own. Hey, if you like it, I love it.
But I'm curious then, when you were a child, or just the way you were brought up and who you came out in the world to be, how you were born, were you generally a likable person, or was that an acquired skill?
You know what? I would say to you that most people that knew me when I was a child thought I was an adorable little kid. Most of them probably did. Some of them probably hated me. I don't know.
I still think you're an adorable big kid.
Thank you. But no, I've just never been the, quote, excuse the expression, the butthole type person. I just. There's no point to it. Don't get me wrong. I have days when you would think I'm the worst human on the planet, but by and large, it's not how I like to roll. Yeah. I'm one, as you said when we started. If we're not laughing, I'm not interested. It's got to be fun. If we're not having fun, I'd rather not. So for me, it's always about finding the fun in whatever we're doing. And enjoying, but that's me.
Well, your sense of joy and laughter is so rich that it has residual effects in my life. In our home, we still laugh about things that we laughed about with you, 10 years ago.
And that's what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be a source of joy for people. You shouldn't be a bad memory. That's just, don't get me wrong. No matter what you do, somebody's not going to like you.
Absolutely.
We already know that. But,
absolutely.
And that was really the crux of what he said. He said, if people say your name and they go, oh, Will, you'll be great.
Yeah.
People say your name and go, oh, yeah, well.
Oh, yeah.
Right. The end of life for you. And so I will never, ever, ever not remember that, because it's been valuable. It's been gold.
Well, it was great advice for you, because I don't remember an instance when I have mentioned your name not in your presence and just everybody lights up. The room lights up, thinking about you. And
yay.
Yeah. So I have two more quotes that I want to weave into our conversation, and then we'll get further into the questions and our conversation. This one is one of yours, which is this: to be true to yourself, own what you create, and do what you feel, not what you think will sell.
All day long. All day long. I spent a bunch of years trying to figure out what I thought people wanted from me. And it wasn't until I started just doing what I felt and doing what was in my heart that I started to see the connection, because the old adage is true. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Mm-hmm. And anything else is, don't get me wrong. I've seen some people pull off that which they have no real interest in, or that which was just created for them very well. But for longevity, I think it has to be who you authentically are. Just,
Yes.
My thoughts.
Well, the last quote that I want to share with you is one from your dad. Do you want me to say it, or shall you?
Go ahead.
If you can't eat, you're not successful.
If you can't feed yourself.
If you can't feed yourself, you're not successful. Which we were talking about success the other day. Yeah. That is the best. Yep. If you can't feed yourself, you're not successful. And because, this show is about creating a successful life, not just having a successful career, creating and maintaining. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that I really admire about you is that you have had more than one career simultaneously, and you love both of those careers, and you are unapologetically embracing both and doing both with the same level of spreading joy and love and integrity it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. The way you operate in real estate, mm-hmm. as a broker, and and I know you're in the mortgage business as well, mm-hmm. and I know your work as a broker, mm-hmm. But also the way you sing in the studio or on stage, because we've shared both.
Yes, sir.
It's exactly the same. You just show up 100%.
Yeah. The funny thing for me is, when I was growing up, my mom was very, very instrumental in me making sure that I knew how to do multiple things.
Mhm.
I had to learn how to cook. I had to cut the lawn every weekend. And that turned into an actual lawn cutting business where I was cutting the neighbors' lawns and, getting paid for it. And so I said, I've always been a multitasker. I've never been one to just do one thing. And though most people are just learning, like in the last maybe 5 or 6 years that I do both music and real estate, I've done them both for years, for literally since 1995. And, so it was like, if I wasn't singing, I was somewhere either fixing a house or buying a house or flipping a house or, what it's just always been me. I'm a, well, I think I have ADD. If you just want to know the absolute truth, I am completely incapable of not doing something. So I have to get up every day and find something to do. And real estate became that thing for me. It became that, okay, if I don't have a session today, if I'm not writing something, if I'm not whatever, I can go out here and I can look at a house, I can figure this out. And I've just always done both things. And most people, as you say, are completely shocked to find it out. They're like, "What do you mean you do?" And the interesting thing is, I think I didn't tell people that I did both for a long time because I didn't want the real estate people to think, "Oh, he's just some dumb singer. He doesn't really know anything about real estate." And I didn't want the industry people to think, "Oh, that's how he really makes his money. It's not
Right.
from music." But those were both my own limiting beliefs because most people, once they found out, were like, "Oh, cool, great, whatever." And then half of them were like, "Can you help me buy something? Can you help me, whatever." So
Right.
Once I stopped being, as a friend of mine says, a secret agent, I started actually creating, more business for myself. So that was kind of a cool side effect of
Right. But in both businesses, they both grew, not just one. It's not just that your real estate business grew.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that I'm the most fascinated by with you, because I understand your talent, I understand your focus and and your commitment, to being an artist and a musician. And your willingness to work for it and your natural gift and all of the years of study and practice. I get all of that. But one of the things that's really exquisite about you doing this is, and I use the word unapologetically, is, a lot of people have had side hustles along the way, artists, because, the majority of actors who are in SAG-AFTRA do not make a complete living being an actor, regardless
a
of
living
how
wage, exactly.
a living wage, regardless of how often you see them on TV or commercials or movies or things like that. It's a very small percent. In the music business, a lot of people have had a side hustle and have felt like they needed to keep it a secret. You talk about that a little bit, but you are doing. You were very open. You were out of the closet as a multitasker, and which is fantastic. But the thing is, when you say, and a lot of people don't really have an issue with that.
Yeah.
One of a great example of that is Stevie Wonder. Like you did, I remember, last year you were in the studio with Stevie Wonder, and it's like you still get the calls. Nobody is thinking less of you because you're a businessman and an entrepreneur, because you still show up and you can read the chart and you sing and you're musical and you understand the protocol, you bring gratitude into it and you bring your A game. And that's just really fantastic because, as you mentioned, a lot of people make judgments in the music industry and they classify you as either a certain type of artist. Oh, you're a soul guy, you're an R&B guy, you're a rock guy, it happens to me and to everybody all the time. And then they put this limitation on you that is not a real limitation. It doesn't exist. It's just in their mind.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and they certainly do that when it comes to, being a real estate, a very successful real estate agent and a very successful musician.
I tell you two funny stories. I was doing I think it was one of the episodes of either The Voice or American Idol. It was probably the Voice. And one of the singers that was on the gig, I had a home listed near where he lived. And so he came in this was rehearsal day. He came in and he came up to me and he was really, really, serious face. And he said, "Well, did I see your sign on a house? Did I see your name on a house for sale?" And I'm thinking, I'm like, "Oh, yeah," because I remember where he lived.
Right.
And he said to me, "I'm so sorry." And I'm thinking he's sorry because something has happened. I'm like, did the sign fall down?
Right.
What the hell has happened?
Who died? Right.
And I said, what are you sorry for? And he said, as good as you can sing, you have to do real estate. And I literally was like, there's that mindset again.
There it is.
And I said to him, I said, listen, I love real estate. And that's nothing to be sorry about. It's a good business. I enjoy it. Please understand, and you can stop whispering, because he was literally whispering to keep anybody else from hearing what he was telling me.
Right.
The other story is when I first became a licensed realtor, because prior to being a realtor, I was a house flipper, an investor, and all that crap. And I started working with a friend of mine who was a real estate broker. And we had a meeting about something. He told me about a few things. And then I said, listen, I got to go. I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll get this figured out. Well, that night I was going to do a show at the Disney Hall with George Benson. Mm-hmm. So we go, we do the show. And during the show, my phone is just blowing up, and I'm trying my best. Thankfully, I turned it off, but it wasn't in my pocket. So I finally get off the stage, and I look at my phone, and he goes, "What the hell are you doing on stage with George Benson?"
Right. You're going, I'm kind of busy right now. Can I get back to you?
I just told my girlfriend, that's my agent. He's there. It was hilarious. But again, he knew that I kind of did something in entertainment, but he was like, I had no idea you were leaving to go work with George Benson. It was the most amazing. We laugh about that to this day.
It's priceless.
But, yeah, it was great. It was absolutely great. But yeah, people have their own limiting beliefs, and again, I had them as well. I was very, very nervous and hesitant to share both of my worlds, because I thought people would,
Right. So what was the epiphany for you? What was there a moment that you remember?
To be honest, I one day just woke up and said, I don't care anymore.
Good.
And like you said, unapologetically, it was, and from that moment, it was like, everybody's going to know.
Right.
This is what I do, and this is how I do it. And it was also one of the main catalysts for doing the Lady in My Life video the way we did it, because I was like, okay, how do I make this thing happen so that people understand who I am totally? And so
right, because you combine them on camera. Let's tell everybody about the single.
Sure. Okay. The Lady in My Life is a song that we released in November. I think it was November of 2022. And it's a remake of Michael Jackson's Thriller classic, The Lady in My Life, written by Rod Stewart, one of the greatest writers in the world, in my opinion. Yeah. And so we did this song. Actually, the reasoning behind the song was, and you mentioned Dick Clark, 31 years ago now, I did a show that Dick Clark created, which was called the USA Music Challenge. Mm-hmm. And that show was the beginning of what you now know as American Idol. And
right. It was a predecessor. Yeah.
It literally was the front runner of that whole thing. It just wasn't a successful venture. It didn't take off like he thought it would, and he just kind of abandoned it and went another way. But
an idea ahead of its time, because exactly. He was a brilliant producer.
He was incredible. Shortly thereafter came these other shows, but I actually did that song on the show and won the show singing the song. And we were struggling trying to get a record out, but I got caught in the middle of some label politics that will be in the book. I've got to write a book about what happened to me. I am so ready. It's funny, I've been kind of leaking little pieces of it, and people have been like, "You've got to be kidding. We had no idea all this happened." I'm like, "Yeah, it happened."
Let's leak a little bit right now. One of the things that you won from that competition was a record deal that never culminated in a record being released.
And the record wasn't released, even with Dick Clark getting on the phone and stating, "If you just release it, I will make sure that it does what it needs to do at radio."
That makes no sense at all to me,
dude. The thing that I got caught up in the middle of had nothing to do with me. It was I was just simply I was simply used as the bargaining chip.
Right.
And unfortunately, I wound up on the wrong side of the of the bet.
The bargain, right.
It was, and it's like there was nothing we could do to change the outcome. And I went in, I showed them I was a viable artist. From the first day I met them to like a week later, we had almost done a complete record for them.
Right.
And they didn't care. The person who they were against loved what I was doing, and he happened to be in charge. And because they wanted him out, I had to go with him. So it ultimately wound up in, take what you got or leave it. Because basically, when you win one of those contests, well, back then, what you get is like a really boilerplate contest winner deal. Because they have no idea who will actually win. So we had to go in and prove that, okay, he's a viable artist. He really can, do this, blah, blah, blah. We went in and we did that, and we thought we had turned the opinion around. And we turned it around for the head honcho, but he was the guy that everybody was trying to get rid of. So,
and when you say "we," you're using the word "we" a lot, which is a beautiful word.
Yes.
That includes Dick Clark. Did you have a great manager, agent, lawyer?
My manager. That includes my lawyers. That includes my producer.
Family. Okay.
Producer. Yeah. He. And the funny thing is, the producer came from them. But he kept telling them, "Listen, this dude can do it. We just gotta, make it happen." And no es bueno. We could not make that happen to save creation. So it turned into, okay, all right, this is over. And but at the end of the day, what they offered me was what I want, which was the boilerplate contest winner deal. But my attorneys were like, "This doesn't promise you anything. And if you sign this, we can't guarantee you anything." And now what it was turned into was a very nice artist deal, which, we got green light to produce the whole record, make it happen, blah, 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 blah. And the guy who was the head of A&R at the time kept screaming, "Just sign the other deal. I'll still make it happen." And I'm caught in the middle. My attorney's like, "Don't you sign that paper. I'll choke you dead." And so it just ultimately just kind of fizzled out.
And in hindsight, was that the right decision?
It was the best decision I could have ever made, because I would have I don't think much would have come of it, but it was very boilerplate and it was very pro label. It was not pro artist in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Right.
So I might have been tethered to them for, at least 7 years before I could do anything.
Well, but that certainly, I would imagine it took the wind out of your sails for a moment. Like it
took the whole kite and everything. Everything.
The wind, the everything.
Because all I could think was, I've won this thing on national TV. The entire country saw this happen, and I can't even get a record out. And the hardest part was the people that knew me, that I was seeing me go, "When's the record coming out?" And I'm like, "Oh, God. Let's try never. Let's try. That ship ain't sailing. That dog ain't hunting. You name it." It was, so that was very, very, very challenging. And,
right.
So, but again, that was what caused this. I posted about the show on the 30th anniversary last year. And a lot of people had no idea that I had done it because, so much time had gone by.
Right.
So people were like, wait, how come we didn't know about this? And so it just started this whole thing of we want to know more. And Dick Clark is very, very adamant that he doesn't want his product on YouTube or any of that. So I wasn't going to just disrespect him in that way. So I'm like, what can I do? So we decided to put this record out.
Yeah.
And I didn't even pay attention to the fact that Thriller was coming up on its 40th anniversary.
Right. You just did it because it felt...
I did it because of the Facebook post. And then all of a sudden we dropped the record. And then like 2 days later, it's the 40th anniversary of Thriller. And then it just literally kind of took on a life of its own.
Right.
Which was really, really, really interesting. Interesting.
It's a fantastic recording, by the way. I really love it. And it's a fun video because again, it shows you as a singer. It shows you as a real estate agent.
And we meet at one point, and then we go. But the thing that I really wanted people to get from it is that it doesn't matter what I'm doing. What I do is make people's lives better, and that I try to do either with music or with real estate. So that was what I hope we were able to convey with it. And it's been
you have and you do, and there's I believe it was on your website. It's something that feels to me like your mission statement, and these are your words as well: to create more music that people love and share it around the world with people who love what I do. This world needs more love, and I am happy to provide it.
Absolutely.
Your words.
It took initially in my younger days, all I really wanted was to be famous because that was a thing that I wanted. But if I finally got the chance to understand that it was about way more than fame, and it was really about enhancing people's lives,
right?
And that's the thing that I love because what I do love is making people feel good and helping people to live better. Let's do it like that. Bridget Bryant says all the time. She says your music brings children into the world, so that's a great thing.
That's true.
Yes.
Right. You're a baby maker. Yes, you are.
I'm the baby maker, the child bringer.
And by the way, some of the sweet revenge of your success story is you have gone on and continue to create beautiful music that gets heard around the world. Speaking of Bridget Bryant, in 2012, you started the Indie Lounge together, but you both of you put out a single, How Do You Know, that went on Valentine's Day, that just dropped and went straight to the top of the UK Soul Chart.
Yep.
For 3 straight weeks. You've done that. You sung on The Lion King, Bad Boys for Your Life, Sing 2. You're on Michael Bublé's new album and Macklemore.
Which was a blast. Those sessions were so incredibly fun because he was on a mission to prove that he's as bad as he is, and he did. That record is phenomenal. And all the energy you feel on that record is all from him because he came into that studio with a mission and he accomplished it. That was a great time for me in music. I really enjoyed that.
And that kind of energy is infectious, especially, they say the fish stinks from the head down, or if it's a great experience, it's because whoever's the artist sets an intention to make it the best experience it can be.
And when people come in like that, you can't help but, get some of it on you and want to do everything you can to help them bring what they're thinking, what they're feeling to fruition and beyond,
Right.
And that was exactly what it was. It was like literally, I think I did 5 or 6 songs on that record, and it was over a couple days, 1 or 2 days. Mm-hmm. And the hours went by like minutes, man. It was just, because it was just like being a kid in a candy store with him. Mm-hmm. He's a whole lot of fun. So yeah.
What's a session like that for you? Is there a lot of sight reading, or is there prep, or?
That particular session was not sight reading. Well, one of the songs was, but most of it was just, this is the vibe I'm feeling. What do we feel? And we just all kind of came up with what we thought it should be and did it, and it was, but again, I'm singing with a Angie Fisher, who is one of the baddest singers on the planet, Tiffany Lauren, who is the same, Kevin Dorsey from Michael Jackson's band. So, you know, and the four of us it was like breathing.
It's joyful, right?
It was indeed all of that. It was all of that. I enjoyed being a part of that record. It was really cool.
I had a similar experience with you in the studio on my Christmas record when I had you and Randy Crenshaw and my wife Melanie Taylor, and you guys sang heaven down. You know, and I knew what I wanted, but left all the room for you guys to be creative as well. It was collaborative, but you know, just the vibration in the room. I mean, literally, you know, physically, the sonics of your voices blending together was just.
Those to me
magnificent.
Are the moments of magic.
Right.
You know, it's just you can't plan for it when there's that synergy, that you know, that whatever you want to call it, and the people show up and they feel it, and the first time a group of singers strikes that first chord and feels that reciprocal energy, it's over. And that's what we had on your session. That's what we also had on Melody's session with myself and David Lastly and Teron Brooks.
Yeah.
And Mel. And when we were doing all of her stuff, Something Wrong, all that. It was just magic. And matter of fact, that session, she'll appreciate this story. That session, I had the wrong time in my head. So she happened to call me and go, "Where exactly are you?" And I'm like, here's the funny thing. I'm in the middle of, I was weed whacking a property that I was getting ready to sell. That's what I was doing. I literally was cleaning up a yard, and I had to throw everything in the back of my truck and race to the session, smelling like God knows what. But we had a blast doing that music. It was great stuff.
Well, I see Melanie just joined us up on stage to
Hey, Mel,
to weigh in.
Hey, you. Okay, let me see. Hang on. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All these little icons and things down here, because, you know, I'm challenged with it.
It's a whole lot to do. A whole lot to do.
Okay, I am very challenged with technology, so God bless me. And it's Mercury retrograde, but we're not going to go there. Hi, Will. I love you.
I love you more.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe this has been the most delightful and enlightening conversation with you, dear friends, and you talking about the duality of your life and how you finally said, "This is who I am. You know, take me or leave me." Isn't that must have felt like a big relief? And did it free you in some way that you were not expecting? That's one question for you.
You know what it really did was just let me know that. When we put something in our minds, it's really just that. It's in our minds. It's not what other people see typically.
Right. That's
and if we can just, you know, get all right to be all right.
Okay, come on now. That's huge.
It's been just amazing, and you know, so it's no longer something that, like, if I walk onto a studio set, I don't not talk about real estate anymore, which is what I used to do. I'd be like, nope, don't discuss that, don't talk about that, don't do that. And the funny thing is, now people come up to me and go, "Hey, how's the market?"
Right? How about that? Because there's nobody else in the room that they're going to ask. That's for sure. Nobody else knows.
And I'm typically standing there going, "I'm trying to remember my note. Can I get that?"
Right.
I know. That's the thing. It's like asking a doctor in a room, a cocktail party, you know, "Can you take a look at this boil on my neck?"
Right.
You're like, "Wait a minute, I'm here to sing today." But that's both sides of it. That's so funny. Well, you know, you let yourself not be afraid anymore what people think, and it liberates you. It frees you up. So congratulations.
Melanie, I've got a question for you regarding you working with Will, because you have sung with Will for years, live and in the studio. But you've also had the pleasure. And it's well earned for both of you, of singing with the top singers in the world, artists and session singers like yourself. What is it that you find special about singing with Will? Because I know that he's one of your favorites and one of mine.
Oh my God, I love him so much. Well, most of the time I'm worried that I'm going to get fired because
laughing.
all I do is laugh.
Is what everybody says. I'm not going to stand next to him. I'm not standing next to him.
I can't stand next to him. I have literally done that though. And I mean, you know, you can tell the truth and shame the devil. I have gone on sessions. One of the lessons we did might have been for on a big award show. I can't remember what we did. Not that recent. Maybe when it might have been the thing for the Ukraine or whatnot. One of those. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to stand over here on this lower riser next to somebody I don't know because they're going to ask me to leave. He's so funny. But then, you know, but then we know each other well. We're so comfortable with each other. It's such a joy to hear. He sings with his whole, you know, your body is your instrument. He's a tall guy, you know, he's got a lot of power. And I just love feeling that singing with him. It's effortless. It's so sweet of you to mention the session that we did together all those years ago with the late, great David Lasley. I don't even know what to say. It was just magic. I almost don't want to write another song because if I can't have you all, I don't know what the point is.
That was exactly what it was. And
wow.
I'll never forget the joy that I had after we left and the fun that we had and me thinking all the while, God, I hope I don't smell as bad as I think I do.
I can't, but that's so funny. I was so preoccupied with everything that you bringing up that story again. I'm like, oh my God, that totally is what happened. He was out there digging weeds.
I'm out there weed whacking in the whole line. And right. Where are you? I'm like,
it was so cute. And I don't know how you made it to Burbank or, you know, Glendale that quick.
I don't either, but it was like, okay, abort, go.
Okay. He came in on wings. And I have to say, putting that together and co-writing with, we have to acknowledge Miguel was such a great thing. Absolutely. I mean, he was, of course, he's my wonderful co-writer. And as we were developing it, and I have to say, it came together really fast. I wrote the lyric and had kind of an idea for a hook. I sent it to Miguel. It came together in days. And then he said, oh, well, you know, maybe I'll do all my own overdubs because I like doing them. And it's kind of, I'm inspired by Joni Mitchell, who always does most of her own stuff. And it's just fun. I can sing what's in my head. But then it was like, but it's kind of a quirky love song. So maybe we should have a Greek chorus of guys, you know, like representing what I'm thinking about or who I'm singing about, which was you, Perry. Here's my little love song for him. But yeah, and so getting the boys in there, getting you, the three of you in there, you made the most magical thing happen. And it doesn't, most people use, you know, women, like, I shouldn't say most, but that's kind of the classic configuration, right? Three gals singing heaven down. But I was like, I want their voice. And it was life-changing for me. It was so incredibly inspiring and beautiful. And just thank you. That's the story behind that song. And God bless David. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
you sounded like angels. It was great. So anyway, we'll share that song some more as we go along. We still have time. I hope that maybe if we do the Indie Lounge, we can get Tehran and get you, and we'll do the tune again live. We'll find another. We'll find someone to pay homage to David as well.
I'll come on up and play it, or we'll invite Miguel too. Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah,
awesome. Really wonderful.
I love you so much. God bless you, and you know, keep doing what you're doing. We love it, and if you keep doing it, we'll keep listening and watching, and maybe we'll buy a house one day. You never know.
Hey, come on.
Stranger things will happen.
Hey.
All right.
You never know.
I never
know what's in store. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping in the conversation, Mel.
Love you, Mel.
So,
see you on Instagram.
That's right.
No kidding, right?
Right.
Our second homes. Talk about
That's
fun.
right.
Okay, I'm out. Love you.
All right, baby. Take care.
So I have a few more questions, and I've got closing questions as well. But before I do that, I just want to kick it back to you right now. I know you've been interviewed a lot, and one of the beauties of this format that we talked about is that we can speak about anything from the heart. Nothing's off topic, and we're not edited. And also, we don't have to speak in sound bites. So is there anything that you never get a chance to really talk about that you want to weave into the conversation right now?
You know, no, not really.
Okay.
The beauty of what I'm doing these days is all the stuff I want to talk about I do. I'm
You
always
do.
talking about houses. I'm always talking about music and love, and what it does. I'm sorry, I keep tapping the screen because my iPad keeps going dim. It's like I look up and I'm like, where am I? But no, I mean, I really don't feel like there's anything that I haven't
Good.
said that I want to say, and I
There's a
guess I'm grateful
blessing in
to
that also. Yeah, and there's you're one of a handful of guests who I've spoken to who don't ever hold back anyway, whether privately, personally, they say what's on their heart and on their mind. So I'm not surprised at your answer.
Right. The thing about it is when you hold stuff in, that stuff can turn into other stuff. So I do my best. I'm sometimes too good at saying what I'm thinking. but
we were talking.
Straight shooter. Go ahead.
We were talking about all the laughter and the joy that you spread too, and it's just so the audience knows, because you're sitting down. How are you? 6'2", 6'3"?
6. Well, let's see, 6'2.5".
Yeah,
that's what we're going with. Some people.
Okay.
One person said to me the other day, I thought you were 6'6". I'm like, yeah, no.
Well, you feel like it because you have a big presence when you walk in the room. But I'm just I just want to just share this story too, because Melanie was talking about making sure she doesn't stand next to you like when you're singing at the Oscars or whatever, because it's just going to be trouble. But I remember this one time. We don't have to get into the whole story of it, but it was so funny and it was so inappropriate for us to be laughing that I literally had to bury my face in your chest, to keep from just bursting out into tears of laughter. And that's one of those memories that I will always, there's residuals with that laughter.
There's almost never a session that I walk onto that somebody will say, I'm not standing next to him. I'm not standing next to him because he's going to get me in trouble. And the funny thing is, I don't feel like I do anything, but apparently I do, because it's said constantly. But I'm the same way about Kevin Dorsey.
Yeah.
I will not stand next to Kevin Dorsey. I don't care what you do. If Kevin Dorsey's going to say something that's going to make me run out of the room. Just what so I get why people do it. I totally understand it. Totally understand it.
Let's go full circle right now as we head towards the end of our conversation. You were born in Laurel, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
When did you move to Los Angeles? How old were you?
I had nothing to do with it. I was all of 2 years old.
2. Okay. Yeah. So nobody asked you.
Nobody said, do you want to go to California? My parents said, we're going there. Actually, it's actually not the greatest story. My dad was, he used to work for this company called Masonite. And Masonite in Laurel was like the big industry. Mm-hmm. They did wood paneling and all that kind of stuff in homes. And my dad was one of the first Black men in Laurel to buy a home. And he was always, my dad loved cars. I get my car fetish from my dad. But he was just very about that whole life.
And your dad, Willie Sr., you're named after him. Right.
So he walked into the boiler room to do whatever he was supposed to be doing, and somebody closed the door. And he actually got burned over half of his body. And he wound up incapacitated for about a year or so until he could get back to living and earning. And at that point, they decided that they needed to move away and get out to California, because most of my family had started coming here. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we got to California. Mm-hmm. But it was, so I didn't know any of that until, of course, I got older. All I knew was that we were in this new place and I was eating biscuits and syrup and at a different table. That was pretty much all I got.
Well, that accident happened before you were born, or were you one?
No, it actually happened, as I understand, just as I was born.
As you were born. Yeah. So there was no trauma for you in that, because that's your dad. You just
none
knew
that I experienced. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So in experiencing a parent with any kind of an injury, a disability, or something like that, that's how you came in the world. That's my dad. I love him. I don't know any different, and
he always had from the moment that I knew him for who he was, there was always these burn marks that know, and I just thought that was just and then one day my mom told me the story, and I'm like, okay, know and so that was like my first encounter into what can happen to you in life, and in trauma and all of those things. But
was that an accident, or was that something that was?
Oh, it wasn't an accident. No, it was deliberate. It was deliberate.
Okay.
It was a message that was trying to be sent.
It was racism at its worst.
Yes, sir.
And hatred and fear.
Yes, sir.
Stupidity.
And it was interesting because when we would go back, there was one time that we went back and we stopped somewhere to get gas, and there were three white men sitting on the whatever it was, on the sidewalk of the gas station or whatever.
It's back in Mississippi.
Mississippi, yes,
right,
and in the country,
Okay.
And my father, as I said, he always bought cars. Cars were his thing, and when he got out of the car, one of the men said to him, "That's a pretty car, boy." And he looked back at me to see if I heard it, and that was the first time that I saw fear in his eyes, and he wasn't afraid of them. He was more, and this is just how I perceived it. He was more afraid of what might happen to us, and or ultimately to me. But we got the gas and we left, and there were no issues. But that was the first and only time that I ever saw him like really like afraid of something, or he was, as we say, he was shook. it was not in a good way. So yeah, it was the move was beneficial for he and my mom, and certainly beneficial for me. But I think staying there would have just not been a good thing for him at all, because he at that point his whole concept of what living there meant and what it was had been tainted. So
and there's thank you for talking about that. Yeah, sure. I appreciate that, because it brings up for me a phrase that I've heard from my Black friends and my Black family that I've married into is the phrase, "I've been Black my whole life." And because I've been in Mississippi on tour, and with the other Black artists who I've been traveling with, and have firsthand been a recipient of that kind of fear instilling racism. Quiet, subtle. Subtle as fuck. I don't use profanity on the show, but I just have to call it out. But the thing is, and so I will say something like, "Dude, why don't we just go someplace else?" And the response is, "I've been Black my whole life. I'm not going to give that any energy." Our lives were not in danger, but we were being treated really poorly. And
I like to call it living while Black.
Living while Black, yeah. And certainly we all know the phrase "driving while Black" too. Yes, which is often said amongst friends, with humor, but that's not becoming so funny lately.
Not so much.
Knocking on wrong doors and pulling into wrong driveways, and that's not even that even oversteps color boundaries and everything. That's just insanity and hatred and fear.
I think the little girl who pulled into the driveway was a little white girl.
That's right.
And how does somebody in your driveway equate to I got to shoot? I just I understand being inquisitive and being like, well, what are you doing in my driveway? I understand that.
Sure.
But why is your first instinct, your first reaction to shoot?
Right.
That's I don't know. I don't understand that.
I don't know.
Crazy.
So, but thanks for sharing that personal story, that family story. Yeah. And, it was a great move that your parents made, for them, ultimately, for the rest of the family, for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
As I said, most of my family had started coming this way anyway. And so, we actually wound up I think when we first moved here, we lived with one of my dad's cousins, and then we actually wound up renting a house from his nephew, and then they bought their own home, and you know, it kept going from there, So that was cool.
I was looking at some of your credits, and one of the earlier credits, there's a few that caught my attention that I just want to shout out because these were albums that inspired me as well that you were singing on. Awesome. I was going to say you got to sing on. They got to have you as a singer on their record. Everybody got the best out of that deal. One of the earlier credits that I saw was in 1994 where you sang with Joe Williams on Feel the Spirit. 1995, Gangster's Paradise, Coolio. Was that, did that feel like that was going to blow up when you were in the studio with them? Did you know you were on, or?
Here's the thing. I didn't actually sing on I sang on the album Gangster's Paradise, but the song that I sang on.
Got it.
Here's another story I'm going to tell. Is actually a song that I co-wrote that I didn't get credit for.
Wait, that's never happened before to anybody in the music business.
It was.
That's terrible.
The song is called Bright as the Sun. And the producer at the time was O.G. Pierce.
I remembered OG. Yeah.
OG called me because OG and I used to write together every day. I helped OG move into his first house when he came here. I got my dad's truck and we moved all this stuff in and whatever. That's how much I knew him. So he calls me one day. He goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm nothing." He goes, I need you to come create a hook on this tune for me." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I jumped in my car, popped to the studio. I walk in the studio and there is a weed cloud. I could not see my hand in front of my face for the amount of weed that was being consumed in that room. I'm like, okay, I better get out of here quickly or else I'm going to be in trouble. So we go in, he plays the track down for me. I listened to it a couple times and I'm like, okay. And the song is called Bright as the Sun. And it's about this guy who's being chased by the police and the helicopter lights are as bright as the sun or whatever. And so it had like this old soul kind of vibe to it. And I just sing, bright and shining down on me, shining down on me. That was pretty much the hook. We laid it down and I think I tracked it a couple times and we were done.
Yeah.
I said to OG, because I had another session later that day. I said, I got to go. We'll discuss everything because don't worry, I got you, whatever. Well, I forgot about it. I got paid for it, I think. I don't even remember. But what wound up happening is the song was submitted to the label as an album filler. And the story that I was told is that they didn't pay for the song. They just put it on the record. But I've since learned that might not have been the truth. And I'm saying what I'm saying because OG passed away and so did Coolio. Just recently. I've been trying to reach Coolio actually because I wanted to talk to him about what we could do. Though he knows that I sang on it because every time I saw him, he'd be like, "That's my singer right there." But that's another story. But we never got to right that wrong. And I've been on a mission of late to make sure that anything that I had something to do with that, my name is on it because it's just important. It's like I go back to records from 40 years ago and I want to know who did what. And the interesting thing now is that most of the people that I find, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that this person sang on that, or I knew that person, or whatever. But I just think it's important for the historians and for the sake of record keeping that things are recorded correctly. But I sang with Coolio. I did, and wrote a song too, and didn't get paid for it. But that's another story. That's a whole nother story.
Well, speaking of another story, do you have a name for your book yet? Do you have a title?
I have a working title.
Okay.
That I don't want to say yet.
Okay.
But because what I don't want it to be is I don't want the feel of it to be this is what happened to me. I wanted
it's not a victim book.
Right. Because I'm, as much as sometimes I bellyache and complain, I'm not a victim.
No.
But I want it to be something that inspires people and that lets them know that no matter what happens, they can get through and get to whatever success is, for them.
It's a survivor's guide to having a great life.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm after. But
yeah.
We'll see what that turns out to be. I should probably get to writing it since I've been talking about it so much. I've got the working title, and I've even got most of the chapters named. I just have to make it, show up.
Speaking of, titles and content, as a songwriter, do you often come up with song titles first before you write a song, or do you work both ways?
What's interesting for me is songs kind of just happen to me. And I know that sounds strange. It's like I'll look when I was doing, when we did the Old School Soul album, oddly enough, I was working on a house that I was getting ready to sell. And I'm working, and a friend of mine, Dale Atkins, had given me this track, and I listened to it all the way to the house. And as I'm vacuuming and cleaning up in the house, it was like, I like that old school soul, and I'm like, okay. And literally, the moment I did that, the song just started flowing. I had to run to the car and just start recording what was happening. So it's like, I don't really have any control over it. It just, when it happens, and it literally, it's just like, it just starts pouring. And I have to go, okay, write it down, get it. And then I can tweak it, from there. But it's rare though that I get a track first. It's typically, I'll have the idea and I'll sing the idea to somebody, and then we build the track.
Develop it together.
Yeah. And I actually really prefer that. And Bridget, now Biji, taught me that very well. Because when we did how to use, she actually had that entire song in her head and basically spewed it out to Gordon Campbell, and he built what she sang to him.
Right.
And which is why it fits the way it does, because it's it was just like, okay, this is really the best way to create. So I'm
looking at one of your lyrics from Not That Kind, Anastasia.
Yeah,
that you co-wrote, and I wrote it down just because it just really stuck with me. Because it just feels like good writing, and it's a fun song. The words are, I said I'd love you to the 12th of never, but I won't run far ahead, leaving you behind. I'm not that kind, because I'm not that kind of girl.
Yep.
Just there's a beauty to the haiku aspect of.
Absolutely. And to full disclosure, that particular lyric came from Young MC. Because he is a wordsmith like none other.
He is, and I'd forgotten to mention that I had the pleasure of working with him.
Awesome.
We performed together on, I think, the Late Show or the Byron Allen Show when I was music directing. But he was a standout, memorable guest collaborator with me, because as a music director, I would work closely with the artist, and I found him to be he's a wordsmith, like you said.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Like you could just tell I could just tell he loved reading, he loved words, he loved, he's a great performer and rapper and everything, but there was a lot going on when he came in, and I really liked him.
It's a brilliant mind. Brilliant mind is he.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, one more album I want to ask you about. We could do this game all day. But 1995, Q's Juke Joint, Quincy Jones.
A very, very, okay. So this record happened around the time that I was working with David Foster on the group, which was called Next Millennium. But and
that's a whole chapter in your book.
It's a whole chapter in the book. I had done a session with Saida, and we were talking about the record that was coming out or whatever. And she's like, oh, that's great. And so she said, you know what? If I may have something coming up soon, I may want to, have you come and sing with us. I'm like, great, sure. So I'm driving home one night. It's probably 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. My phone rings. I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello. And the person says, hi, my name is, what is that woman's name?
Joanne. Yeah.
Joanne, and I'm calling because I want to see if you can do a session with Quincy Jones. And so at this point, I'm thinking one of my friends on the phone clowning.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, punking you.
So
yeah.
I literally say, who the hell is this? And what do you want? What is going on? And so I hear her go, and so she says, Saida Garrett gave me your number. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
I said, yes. Now, when is the session? And
right.
She said, it'll be tomorrow. Are you available tomorrow? I said, absolutely I am. And then I was so embarrassed. I said, please forgive me. I really thought you were a friend of mine, because her number was very similar to another one of my friends' numbers.
Right.
She goes, it's okay. She says, I understand. So hang up the phone. I didn't sleep at all that night, because now I'm thinking I got to go sing for Quincy Jones tomorrow. What's about to happen to me? I get to the session. I walk in. I think I was the first one there. I walk in, then in comes Patty Austin,
mm-hmm.
and in comes Mervyn Warren, and then in comes finally Saida. So at this point, I'm like, this is insanity, okay?
Mm-hmm.
These are all my folks that I love to listen to sing, and okay. And then in comes Q.
Yeah.
Now, but before he got there, we started tracking. And the stuff that we were tracking was flawless. I mean, it was beautiful what we were doing. I'm thinking, this will be done in 20 minutes. I'll be back home by lunch. So we got done with the first maybe 6 or 7 tracks, and Patty also looks at me and says, "So are you warm yet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool." Huh? She goes, "Okay." Quincy walks in and he speaks to everybody, and he looks at me and goes, "I don't know you, but hi." I'm like, "Nice to meet you." And they played him what we did. Mm-hmm. And he said, great, sounds good. Let's start from track 1.
Wow.
we proceeded to sing for the next 8 hours. And
Patty's words were a premonition. Are you warm yet?
She was laughing uncontrollably. She was like, I asked you if you were warm.
She knew.
She knew completely what was about to happen to me. It was, but that was one of the greatest sessions in my life. It was a whole lot of fun, and just being in that energy and, working with Quincy was phenomenal.
Life-changing, I would imagine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he knows what he wants, and he's going to get it from you, and it's going to sound the way he wants, or somebody else is going to come make it sound the way he wants.
Well, I'm sure, as horrified as you were with that conversation with Joanne Tominaga, who's been Quincy's right-hand woman, and production coordinator for years at Quest Records and everything. But I'm sure she understood. And it
was, man, I because all I could think was, Quincy Jones is not thinking about me doing anything. Why in the world? Who is this clowning with?
Right. Understood. Those kind of, I mean, it sounds like your experience, and I share this experience, is sometimes you just cannot believe that this is your life. Those kind of moments. You've prepared for it your whole life. I mean, you deserve to be there, but it's still mind-boggling.
I'll give you one more story if we have time.
Yeah.
I was doing a session with one of the sessions that we were doing with David for the record. Mm-hmm. And he called us and he said, listen, I need you guys.
David Foster. David Foster just joining. Right.
He said, I need you guys to come in and work on this idea with me. And I'm like, okay. So we all piled to the studio. And when I walk in, he's sitting at the console, and Richard Marx is walking out of the room. And then he said, I'm just waiting for the other guy to get here, and then we'll get it figured out. I'm like, okay. So 10 minutes later, in walks Babyface. And now I'm standing there going, what? is happening to me? I'm like, this is insanity. So we start singing, and now the thing that we're working on is the song that would become the song for the 1996 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already, in that moment of, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And so, but this session is to lay the backing vocals so that we can put the leads on it later, and get that together. Mm-hmm. So while we're working, David looks at Richard and says, "Go get LV and let's figure out what to do." And I'm like, okay, I wonder who that is. So 5 minutes later, Richard Marx walks back in with Luther Vandross and stands him right next.
Whoa.
To me. And stands him right next to me. And I literally said, I can't sing with him right there. That's not about to happen. We are not about to happen. And he's looking going, what did I do? I'm like, right. You're you. That's what you do. Long story short,
wow.
Session goes on, and we wound up having more fun during that session than I think I've ever had. And we clowned all the rest of that day.
Yeah.
The song wound up being recorded actually by Celine, because the Olympic Committee wanted a name. And because David was trying to use it to break his group, and they were like, yeah, we don't care about that. Somebody that America knows. Can we have that? And so she wound up actually being, the song is called The Power of the Dream.
Yeah.
But the backgrounds.
That's still all you.
Yes. It's Nita Whitaker, Alec Brown, somebody else, Joey Diggs, I think. Mm-hmm. And me and Luther.
Yeah.
It was insanity.
You just completely just took my breath away. I did not see that coming.
Dude, you didn't see it.
Well, yeah, nor did you.
I literally was standing, when he walked in the room, I'm like, is that Luther? I looked at Nita and she's like, okay. I'm like, nope, this ain't gonna work. Don't. And then they walked him, here, stand right here. And I'm like, nope, he can't stand right there. No, yeah, it's not gonna work.
That is priceless.
It was amazing. Amazing. Absolutely.
Hopefully this will motivate you to complete your book. But when you do have the book, I've only think I've done this once where I've had a guest back again.
I would love to.
But please, we need to just, because then we could spill the beans on all of these stories, and not just the stories, but like the humanity behind the experience.
And experience is what it was. That
exactly.
Ooh, buddy. It was an experience for real. But
wow.
Yes, I would love to come back and talk about it. Absolutely.
So use that as motivation to keep writing and finish. I really look forward to that. I want to ask you my closing questions, and then you can, of course, have closing thoughts.
Sure.
And I ask the same of all of my guests. And the first of the three is, since this show is called Making It, what does making it mean to you both personally and professionally?
Making it to me means being happy in your skin and happy doing what you get to do every day when you get up. Getting up with purpose, getting up feeling like I get to help somebody today. I get to bless somebody today. I get to be a blessing in some way today. It's not necessarily financial, though it doesn't hurt. I'll say that. But it's really about living life on purpose and feeling like you add something to the world. That's what
Beautiful.
It means.
Yeah. Can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
The things that you said earlier, be authentic, own what you create, and love what you do.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Yeah, and I'm also thinking of your dad's great words.
You can't feed yourself, you're not successful.
Go Willie Sr.
He was
Mr. Wheaton. Beautiful.
My dad, when I first started singing, I'm not supposed to tell those story, I'm sorry, but when I first started singing, I would do weddings and stuff. And I wasn't really charging people, because I was just happy that they wanted me to sing.
Right.
And finally, I came home one day and he said, "What are you charging to sing at the weddings?" I said, "I don't know, whatever they can pay." And he said, "If people ain't got no money, they shouldn't be getting married." That was my dad. That was my dad. Now, the interesting thing is, after that, I started raising my prices and nobody barked. It was amazing. It was amazing. So I had to tell that story.
Wow, that's great.